What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. We got some big news going on here already here as Republicans take control of the U.S. House of Representatives and say they're already going to be starting on some big things here, some big changes. I'll let you know here what they're already starting or going to be starting on here and what their plans on some of the changes are. Yeah. We also got a Republican senator just resigned from the Senate and had some harsh words about former President Donald Trump. And Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene admits that she was duped, and I'll let you know the thoughts here on that as well. So let's jump right in. If you're new to our channel and you haven't yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on new videos. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. And thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos. All right, let's jump right in. Okay, Kevin McCarthy is now the leader of the House of Representatives and the Speaker of the House after 15 votes. That's right. Republicans themselves voted him down 14 times. And well, after the 15th try, he finally got it. Now they're going to be voting on rules and restrictions on him and the House of Representatives. And among some of the first priorities here, abortion, China, and big government. Yeah, hours after Republican leader Kevin McCarthy finally clinched the U.S. House Speaker role, his party was already rolling out its initial legislative steps. The creation of committees to investigate China and China and weaponization of the federal government, and a bill that could potentially limit abortion care nationwide. Let me know your thoughts on this. Yeah, he got the speaker vote after the 15th round of voting here, the longest speaker election in 160 years. Highlights of the new rules in the House of Representatives, which will get a vote on Monday, include a 72-hour waiting period before the introduction of a bill and a vote on it, and allowing any member to trigger a vote of confidence of the speaker. I believe the 72-hour waiting period before any introduction of a bill and a vote on it, I think, is so that they can read through it. But it says here before the introduction of a bill, so a little unclear on that. Kevin McCarthy says, quote, "My father always told me it's not how you start, it's how you finish." And he said, after winning the gavel, "I think at the end of the day, we're going to be more effective and more efficient." These included the creation of a committee to investigate competition between the United States and the Chinese government, as well as a committee investigating the weaponization of the federal government. Interesting. A bill that would prohibit healthcare practitioner from failing to exercise the proper degree of care in the case of a child who survives an abortion or an attempted abortion will get introduced next week. President Biden said, quote, "As I said after the midterms, I'm prepared to work with Republicans when I can," and voters made clear that they expect Republicans to be prepared to work with me as well. Now that the leadership of the House of Representatives has been decided, it's time for that process to begin. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about the initial agenda of the Republican Party here in the House? What do you think? Republican Senator from Nebraska, Ben Sasse, has officially stepped down. That's right, which will open up his appointment to be seated here, and they can put in another Republican. You can see here as he stepped down, he had some harsh words for fellow Republican former President Donald Trump. Republican Senator Ben Sasse said he's, quote, "sad for, quote, needy and desperate Trump In parting shot before leaving the Senate, remember they're both Republicans, he said, Republican Senator Ben Sasse said shortly before leaving the Senate that he was, quote, sad for former President Donald Trump, while also praising his conservative judicial appointments. He said, quote, I'm just sad for him as a human because obviously there's a lot of complicated stuff going on in that soul. He said, quote, just at a human level, I'm sad for him to be that needy and desperate. He's added at a policy level, I've always loved that he kept his word on the judges, and so we got to work closely on judges. Sasse formally resigned from the Senate on Sunday to become the next president of the University of Florida. A staunch conservative, the Nebraskan worked with the Trump White House on a myriad of policy issues, but he never connected with Trump on a personal level and frequently criticized him. And later, in a fractious relationship, he voted in favor of convicting Trump for inciting the Capitol riot, saying, quote, the president repeated these lies when summoning his crowd, part of which were widely known to be violent, to Capitol Hill to intimidate the Vice President Pence and Congress into not fulfilling our constitutional duties. Those lies had consequences, endangering the life of the vice president and bringing us dangerously close to a bloody constitutional crisis. So now that he's stepped down, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has made it clear he wants to appoint now former Governor Pete Ricketts, whose family owns the Chicago Cubs and made a fortune in financial services, to come to Washington to fill his seat. It also helps that Ricketts is a close ally of Pillen, who was his preferred replacement. Ricketts did run unsuccessfully for the Senate in 2006, losing handily to then Democratic Senator Ben Nelson. So let me know your thoughts here on the Republican senator who's been a senator since 2015, I believe, on his comments of former President Donald Trump as he resigns from the Senate on his own accord and now will be the president of the University of Florida. So, yeah, and they will be filling the seat here with another Republican of their choosing until the next re-election date for that seat. So we'll see what happens here. Next up, it seems to be Republican News Day here. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, an often controversial Republican from the House of Representatives, kind of admitted late last night in an interview here that she said, quote, like a lot of people, she had, quote, easily gotten sucked into some things she had seen on the internet regarding QAnon conspiracy theories. Yeah, so basically she admitted she had kind of gotten duped into a lot of conspiracy theories that were just conspiracy theories and never materialized. Yeah. Here's a segment of what she said here. Take a listen. Let me know your thoughts.
The agenda that's laid out there, it's even on Kevin McCarthy's website, what we can accomplish in the Republican conference. And the reason why I told that to Robert Draper is because I have the support of the base, and I keep telling everyone here in Washington, this is what the American people want. And it was easy for me to get on board with this agenda because I'd see the conference come around the same things.
Yeah.
And
well, just to deal with one bit of history, the Democrats stripped you of your committee assignments after you were elected. That was raw politics. But in fairness, didn't you also say around that period that you had been a follower of QAnon conspiracy theories and you had rethought this and you were no longer influenced by the group?
Well, like a lot of people today, I had easily gotten sucked into some things I'd seen on the internet, but that was dealt with quickly early on. I never campaigned on those things. That was not something I believed in. That's not what I ran for Congress on. So those are so far in the past.
All right. You tweeted, I guess in late December, being conservative and anti-establishment, I used to criticize Kevin McCarthy a lot. So if that's true, why did you end up on his side when some of your fellow conservatives from the Freedom Caucus, obviously, Gates was saying he will not win next week, next month, next year?
Thank you. That's a great question. Yeah, they did. He did say that, and sure enough, Kevin McCarthy is our speaker. Well, here's what happened. I came into Congress, and Kevin and we had some public confrontations, or not necessarily confrontations, but said things about one another. But I did something that I wish more members of Congress would do. I started talking to Kevin McCarthy, and I went and met with him and got to know him better and got to understand where he sees the conference going, what he sees our agenda, and what we should do. And that's why I came around a lot sooner than 20 of my Freedom Caucus colleagues. But listen, here's the great news. I'm glad they came around this past week. So what you saw them do, learn to trust them and have faith in the plan going forward, I was able to do that over the past year. But I hope more of my colleagues do that.
When things got heated, you said this about Congressman Chip Roy of Texas. He refused to object on January 6th. That's not what our base wanted. So a lot of the people who were backing Kevin McCarthy also didn't vote to certify the Electoral College results for Joe Biden. Do you think that's an important thing to the base even today?
Oh, it's very important. Well, what I was pointing out is the same people that conservatives were holding up in high esteem don't necessarily have those voting records while they're at the same time criticizing Kevin McCarthy, who does.
Right.
Kevin McCarthy did object on January 6th, and he's been a top target of the Democrats and the January 6th
So do you
committee.
believe that Joe Biden is a legitimately elected president?
Of course Joe Biden's the president. That's always a silly question.
Okay, I wasn't trying to be silly. I was trying to just clarify. We have about half a minute left. As you know, what a lot of media are saying now is, McCarthy gave away too much. He's weakened his speakership, especially when the number of members required to do a snap vote of whether he should stay in that chair went down from 5 to 1. Was that a big deal in the machinations here?
Well, no, I'll go with this, and this is what I've said from the beginning before we ever got into this week. The most important thing that every single member has is their voting card. There's only 222 Republicans, and we need 218 to pass anything. That's where the magic happens. And so the big fight that happened this week, I think that a lot of it was really unnecessary and just a bunch of fanfare that helps popularity on the internet but doesn't produce results. Now we have a speaker that we can produce results with, and we have to do that by coming together to get 218.
Yeah.
That's where our power lies. And so with this rules package, let's be very real. We've got a Biden White House, we have a Democrat-controlled Senate, and we got to get to 218 to accomplish anything.
Right. Ultimately, in Washington, it's about the math.
That's right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here. Marjorie Taylor Greene admits that she maybe listened to too many conspiracy theories on the internet. Yeah, so I see so many conspiracy theories that I can just kind of say, yeah, that's not true. Now maybe some of them, end up being true. But some of them just seem way out there. Way out there. You let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Also, now that the Republicans have control of the House, it seems like they're going to be definitely going in a different direction with the House and putting a kind of a big red stop sign to the Democrats here in several different ways here. But having to work together here as well. It's not that different in what we've really had here in the last 2 years or the last several years here. Because remember that for any bill to pass besides the reconciliation bills, which was only 2 bills, they needed Republicans to pass them in the Senate at least. But still, any bill needed Republicans to pass it. So it's not that different from what is going to happen here going forward. They're still going to need Republican support, Democrats and Republicans, to pass 99.9% of bills. Okay, because before this, there was 2 bills in the last 2 years that were able to be passed through reconciliation. They won't be able to do that, but they're going to need Republican and Democratic support to be able to pass bills, anything. Yeah, so they'll still be able to do executive orders and stuff like that through the president. And even some things can just be passed even without an executive order, actually just through governments, things like the USDA and stuff like that. But even before this, even last year and stuff like that, they needed Republican support, Democrats and Republican support, because the Senate needed 60 votes. And last year was a 50-50 Senate. So believe it or not, it's not that different. There is a difference because the Republicans control the House. So there's a little bit of a difference there. But regardless, last year they still needed Republican and Democrats to pass 99.9% of bills. So everybody kind of thinks this is a dramatic change. Yeah, there's a change there. Republicans control the House, but it's not that different because, like I said, they still needed 10 Republican votes to pass any bills. And to be honest, Republicans basically either vote for it or don't when it comes to the majority of bills here. So, if Republicans are against it, they just don't vote for it. And honestly, we see like Mitch McConnell, just kind of saying, are Republicans going to vote for this or not in the Senate? And that's kind of how the majority of things go down here. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. If you haven't yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below and then the bell icon after you subscribe. Remember that new videos come out here every day on our YouTube channel at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember those times here. We have new videos every day at those times, and I'll keep you up to date. Thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos. It helps our channel grow and reach new people here. Here's some videos you can watch next. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And here is some good news for Social Security that you might not know about. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.